Where June is here, and that means another tropical season is here for the Atlantic. That means we're firing up another tropical season. And at the lead in Cameron County at the Emergency Management Office is Tom Hushen for our county. It's been a while, Tom, since we've had a system. I guess we're due. First thing that came to mind was insurance coverage that everybody needs to check at the coast at Cameron County, right? Which is, I would imagine, is a little different in Cameron County than it is in Hidalgo County, if we can start there.
It is. Remember, for flood insurance, it takes 30 days, and you cannot get any kind of insurance if there's a tropical storm in the Gulf of Mexico. So we need to get those things early, especially on the flood and on your insurance. Make sure you've got a windstorm. Make sure you got wind-driven rain, all of those little add-ons that they have.
Mm-hmm. How many folks are at your office at Cameron County, or is it all precinct offices and all employees? That's what you have at your disposal.
Well, at the county level, when disaster strikes, everybody in the county is eligible to come into work if needed. So, we rely on all of our law enforcement partners. We rely on all the city fire departments, the rescue crews, all of our public works, all the way down to our health department coming in and helping us out with phone calls. So it's a big brotherhood that we have at the county. And so when disaster strikes, we all come in.
If we have a bad storm, bad situation this way, how much square footage, or what's the capacity when it comes to sheltering folks? I know we have one of these, what's like a FEMA shelter, like a little dome somewhere, but what else do you use?
Well, we really try not to shelter. Remember, if it's a Cat 4, we want people to evacuate.
Yeah.
We don't want them to hang around here, because that's the mentality that we have when somebody says, well, I don't have to leave yet. I'm not going to leave when they're telling me to leave because I'm just going to go to a FEMA dome. It sometimes doesn't work. And if we noticed on some of the domes that we've used, when we did have the flood, we couldn't even get to the domes. They were flooded under. So this is a flooded area. This area floods, as you know, from the storms a few weeks back, 21 inches of rain, and we couldn't even drive on the highway.
Yeah, that's true. And of course, obviously that was not a Cat 4. And sometimes it's the tropical systems, right? The weak systems, or very slow moving Cat 1, something like that just dumps a lot of rain. That's the worst case scenario for us, I would imagine. The Cat 4 will come and go real quick, will, create a lot of damage. But
it depends. It depends. We have to always look at the speed of the storm. If it's a Cat 4, but it's moving at 10 miles an hour, that thing is going to do some heavy damage.
That's true.
Some of the worst storms that you've seen are going to be some of those tropical depressions that sit and drop in 25, 30 inches of rain. Hurricane Harvey dropped over 30 inches of rain, and that was a Cat 4, and that one was a very slow moving Cat 4. So you also got to look at the storm surge. How much of a storm surge is there going to be? Because remember, all the water there from the rain has to go somewhere. It has to go to the ocean. Well, when the ocean is risen, all the way past Port Isabel, that's why we have these floods.
In a bad situation like that, where you have, oh, God forbid, but we've heard reports like this out of Florida, for example, where they have like a 20-foot storm surge. They have wind and surf coming at you, high tide, everything in the right direction. Which areas of the county, coastal areas, would be most affected by this? You mentioned Port Isabel. Obviously, I would see where that would be the scenario. But like, how far inland would it go? Even into Brownsville, how far inland?
We look at everything on an evacuation. For a very strong storm, we're looking at evacuating up to Harlingen. So that'll include most of Brownsville. That'll include the Laguna Madre area, Los Fresnos. All of that area will be looking to evacuate. We go by zones. The first zone is the Laguna Madre. The second one, it moves a little bit up closer to Los Fresnos. Then it covers most of Brownsville on a zone 3. So that's what you got to look out for, is the storm surge, the slow moving. And sometimes it's a 3 and we're thinking, okay, we're not going to evacuate. Don't forget this. And then all of a sudden it enhances to a Cat 4 or 5. It's very difficult to tell exactly where, when, and how strong.
So make an evacuation plan. That's another thing, especially if you are at the coast at South Padre, Port Isabel, at Brownsville, near the coast. You definitely need an evacuation plan. Tom Hushen is with the Emergency Management Office for our county. Have you have you guys at county purchased any new equipment, new pumps, things like that that would be very useful in the event of a big flood?
Yes, we've been purchasing pumps over the years. We do have a good supply of pumps, and we utilized those during the last flood event. I think we had 13 pumps pumping over the levee. We had pumps over at the Orphanage Road area. We had pumps within cities, so we do have a good amount of pumps, and we also rely on our drainage districts on those pumps as well. They've been helping us out tremendously.
Very well then. How quickly could we evacuate areas really, really close to the coast? Of course, South Padre has its own issues. We got just the Queen Isabella Causeway. We get to a certain wind speed, and they won't use the causeway anymore. You'll be stuck on the island.
Right.
And let's say more inland where they can drive away, Port Isabel, areas really close to the coast in Brownsville. How many hours do we need to allow folks to get on the freeway and all that traffic to get out of the way, head up north on what we know is 77, now part of 69, but try to get them out of here? How many hours do we need?
You're going to need at least 72 hours, maybe even more than that. Because remember, when we're evacuating, depending on that storm, it could be Corpus evacuating. It could be a lot of other areas. So 77 is going to be closed up depending on the location of the storm. And then you're going to have some people who know that they flood up in Hidalgo County that are going to decide that they need to evacuate as well. So even though they may not be under an evacuation, you may have hundreds or thousands of people evacuating from some low-lying areas. At the same time, we're trying to evacuate, and you get that bottleneck up there in the at the turn going towards Edinburgh. Yeah. But it depends. Remember, the population of Brownsville is over 250,000. If we have to do a mass evacuation of the city of Brownsville, imagine that at 250,000 people trying to evacuate on two lanes, two roads.
You remember Hurricane Rita, which was after Katrina in Houston? Remember the traffic out of Houston? Yes. and the deaths that occurred as a result of that? People got stuck in traffic. It was hot before the storm. Vehicles breaking down. People without medication, without water. I think we lost 200 something plus people trying to evacuate Houston, and they got big fat freeways headed in all directions. We don't here in South Texas. I don't know. God help us. I don't know if we get in a situation like that, we have a Cat 5 headed this way and people want to run for the hills far, far away. I'm thinking they need to go west, go through McAllen, maybe head north on 281, try to go west to Laredo. That might be the safe bet, because if they get stuck on Highway 77 with a Cat 5, which could happen, a lot of traffic trying to leave town, that's not a good scenario.
Well, remember, 77 will be blocked by a Department of Public Safety at a very early time. As soon as there's any threat to 77, they'll block it and move everybody through Raymondville. So it's
not part of contraflow then, 77.
Right. Contraflow is not part of it. And contraflow, if we do activate contraflow, we're looking at about 72 hours out. But that is a massive undertaking on the contraflow. That is a lot of exits that need to be blocked, and a lot of coordination between TxDOT, DPS, Border Patrol, and every single city all along the region.
Do you happen to know, I've never asked this before, in a contraflow situation, again, 77 would not be part of it. I'm glad you mentioned that. So it started what we know as 281, this portion of I-69, Highway 281. And then you can go west, I suppose. But would there be one lane designated for emergency traffic, or let's say a Walmart big truck or supplies to come on down to the valley and continue to reinforce as everybody's headed north on 281? Do you know?
Well, I know that 281 going towards Edinburgh will be the contraflow area. The Laredo one will not be. Coming in from the other side won't be on Military Highway. It'll be the main area going up.
So any traffic inbound will need to use that route to try to get to all those farm roads to that portion of 83, either start at Laredo or other points to try to make it back in.
Right. But remember, during this time, contraflow doesn't last forever. It's only going to last for probably around 24 hours, 36 hours. If you don't get out during that time, it's going to be even more difficult to be able to get out. That's why we tell everybody, don't wait for somebody to tell you it's a mandatory evacuation. You know your residents, you know your area. If you don't feel safe, leave early. Nobody is keeping you here.
That's true. Make plans with family, or again, develop your own evacuation plan. If you're headed up to San Antonio or Houston, try to get those hotel reservations pinned down for several days. Do you have a storm kit? Do you have a storm preparation kit And what do you have in it, Tom?
Well, remember when we get a storm in the Gulf of Mexico, the county judge will order a disaster declaration extremely early, like probably around 90, 72 hours out. And the reason for that is so that if you have limited supply and medication and you can't get your medication because it's too early, with this disaster declaration, it'll allow you to pick up your medications that you need to get early, which is very important because you know how the insurances can be sometimes when you have 3 days left, they're like, no, you can't get it. Well, this will let you be able to get that. You need to make sure you have water. I do have water. We do have a change of clothes ready to go. I've been doing this for so long. I really don't get the opportunity to evacuate. I have to stay here and shelter down to make sure that we get everything running. But most people, when I do a drop or a go bag, it has my change of clothes. It has my medications. It has everything ready to go. When you evacuate, make sure you take your insurance cards, all of that stuff in a plastic bag so it won't get wet. Making sure you download your computer onto a thumb drive because sometimes the computers can get damaged. So if you keep a lot of stuff on there, make sure you get that done. Birth certificates, important papers.
Put that stuff on the cloud. Take pictures of your property.
Yes,
as
please
well.
do.
Everybody's got cell phones. Did we miss anything? We need to remind folks right now as we get ready for hurricane season.
Just remember, we gave a good test on that ISTAT, the individual assistance tool that the state put down to take pictures of your damage. That was a very good tool that allowed us to show how much damage there was really quickly. So make sure you learn to download that. Make sure you have that ready to go, and we'll do more advertising on there, and it is on our website as well.
Okay, that's at the Cameron County website.
Cameron County website, yes.
Tom Hushen with the Emergency Management Office for Cameron County. I hope this is the only conversation we have for tropical season, Tom. All right?
So do I.
Let's try to keep it that way. Thank you much. And we wish you and the crew the best. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.